Do you want to know the difference between aspirational and inspirational persuasion? Yes, there is a difference, and they have multiple purposes, each of them. Okay, so if you aspire to something, that means you see a standard that is above you and you aspire to reach that. For example, if I am an aspiring author, then that means I see other authors and I aspire to become like that. Now, inspire has to do with aspire internally. What this means is within you, you feel inspired to move and go do something. You could say it's upwards or perhaps it's lateral. It is certainly action oriented, but it's something that comes from within versus what you witness outside of you, and it comes into you and you attempt to reach that level. You could, for example, be inspired to go do some great writing as an aspiring author to reach authorship, but you're inspired by a piece of music. Did that inspirational piece of music have anything to do with being an author? No, but you might have felt inspired by it, which is the key that we're attempting to communicate here, and that's good. So, aspirational persuasion versus inspirational persuasion, both of them have utility for you as an aspiring persuader. I recommend that you have an aspirational personal brand for your industry, for clients, for customers, that people see you and what you've done and what you've accomplished and go, can you do that for me? That's how I got started, by the way, as a ghostwriter. That book right there, Lies I Taught in Medical School, that's one of the 2 New York Times bestsellers that I've co-authored this year. The other one, if you'll bear with me, is On Humans that I co-authored with Jack Posobiec. We did another book together, the first that covered the assassination attempts on Donald J. Trump. Now, before I became a co-author, I was a novelist. The place that I've reached now is that I've ghostwritten 96 nonfiction, full-length nonfiction books in my career as a professional ghostwriter. That's what I do for a living. I goof off on YouTube now in the spare moments that I find each day to record these videos for you. So I realized that I was an aspirational personal brand before I intended to be. People saw that I was a published novelist with 2 novels to my name at age 20, then 21, and they said, I've wanted to write a book longer than you've been alive. You went and did it twice. And it's actually good, your content. Can you help me write my book, please? Now, I don't want to write nonfiction necessarily. I want to write a memoir, but I want it to read like a novel. I don't want it to be a boring Wikipedia-style autobiography about my early life. Wink, wink. Can you help me out here? So I, without intending to, realized that I had an aspirational personal brand. And I've kept that through to this day. Even today, I am not simply head and shoulders. I am perhaps skyscrapers above any other ghostwriter you'll ever find. And that's not a statement of arrogance or ego. It is the fact that there's not a single ghostwriter anywhere close to my level of experience as a ghostwriter across the industries I've ghostwritten in, the successes of those books that I have ghostwritten, and also being a published novelist and being a traditionally published author and co-author myself with a number one Publishers Weekly bestseller, best-selling book in the United States, and multiple New York Times bestsellers in the same year. In fact, in the same month. It was less than a month apart that they are both on the New York Times bestseller list. The Lies I Taught in Medical School and On Humans. So when I talk to authors who are thinking about hiring me as their ghostwriter, I am looking down on them. They are looking up at me. I am one up on them. They are one down on me, and they know it. And that's okay. Think about the services that you offer or that you sell, the products that you sell. Why do people buy from celebrities products? If they, whether they white label, they do a licensing deal, or they can do an endorsement deal. Why? Because it's aspirational. If I can buy this product to look like this person, how attractive they are. It's a way of being in submission to them, bowing down and purchasing their product because you want to honor them, venerate them, you might say. Isn't that interesting? One reason that people hire me is they want to be like me. Think about that. Joshua, if I can just have a little bit of the success that you've achieved as an author for yourself by hiring you to ghostwrite for me, that will be life-changing. I didn't set out to do that. I wanted to be a novelist. That didn't pan out at the time. So was I a failure at that? Kind of, yeah. But if you see systems versus goals, like Scott Adams teaches in Reframe Your Brain, which is another life-changing book that I worked on, he points out that you want to have systems that you implement and follow, and those be your goals. You have a goal to implement a system of success, career success, where you're developing complementary skills that few people have that same combination of those skills. He calls it talent stacking. So a goal, in contrast, is where there is something that you want to do and accomplish, and every day you've not accomplished it is a day that you have been a failure. Wow, that sucks. So I don't see Joshua wanting to be a full-time novelist and it didn't happen when he was 21 years old. I don't see that as a failure because my system was, I want to write for a living. Perhaps I've retconned that reframe into my own life story. And I'm certainly happy about it. I'm not going around saying, oh, wow, starving artist. I couldn't cut it. I couldn't make it. Would anybody want to hire that? No, they wouldn't. Now, this is different from inspiration. Very different from inspiration. Whatever it is that you do, I recommend that you do it so much better than your customers or your clientele, your audience, so that when they see you doing the thing that you sell, for example, you're an interior designer, I don't want to be this whole the cobbler's children have no shoes situation. The plumber's kids have no toilet, indoor plumbing. We don't want that situation. If you're an interior designer and I go to your house, I want to see something so impressive I'm left awestruck and I can't speak. Wow, if I could have 10% of that in my home, that would be amazing. Aspirational persuasion. Now, inspirational persuasion is a little more subtle and it's less direct, but it's you being something and doing something that goes into someone that drives them to take a particular action. It's a little bit less tangible, and it's often not directly related to your profession. 2 years ago this month, the Mary Sue thread that I wrote, which assails the Mary Sue trope, where there's this perfect girl who can do everything a man does, but like way better, whether it's Captain Marvel or Rey in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, or this new Snow White character that's coming out, or Galadriel in Rings of Power. I mean, the Acolyte characters, like it's all of them, right? It seems like most female characters since like 2010, I would say. Since one of the movies with one of the films, most popular films, that is pre Mary Sue trope being and everything, is Tangled. Interestingly enough, that film is a metaphor about the destructiveness of feminism on women, where the angry, embittered, childless, masculine wine ant, you might say, kidnaps the beautiful, innocent from her family, from her role as a daughter and future mother, from the ability to be a matriarch in the feminine position of influence, kidnaps her from all that, and uses her to make herself feel better about herself. And the one to save her is not her parents. It is the roguish, good-looking bad boy who doesn't trust the government. And that's the metaphor for our times. Tangled. And then, shortly thereafter, you remember Frozen, which begins the post-truth era of filmmaking. Coming back to the original point of inspirational persuasion, that film inspired Zoomers. It did. I don't think we have yet witnessed that metaphor playing out, but film is often a reflection of, but also a projection on to a generation. And I think millennial feminism versus Generation Z traditional femininity, that's the Tangled film, and it was inspiring. And that's what I intended to do with the Mary Sue thread, was to inspire creators, filmmakers, writers, storytellers to return to traditional feminine power and influence in storytelling, showing a better way. And I took a lot of heat. I was effectively canceled. This is back when cancel culture was still a thing, openly in the mainstream, before free speech was returned to the country. And I apologized for nothing. I held firm, and I shared my haters. I taught the world that haters can be your most valuable marketers. It confused a lot of people, but I made a lot of money as a result of that thread. Why? Because I inspired my market. I inspired my audience. VIPs read the thread. They read my haters and critics. They saw the hit pieces on me that attempted to permanently stain my reputation and get me canceled from polite life and working as a ghostwriter ever again. They saw all of that. And they said, wow, this guy is brave. That's who I want writing my book. Someone who can speak the truth as courageously as this guy can. That's the difference between aspirational persuasion and inspirational persuasion. You can do the same. You can inspire people in your market by standing up for truth. Excuse me. What's more important than making money in industry? How you make money in industry. What's going on in industry right now that's wrong, that's corrupt, that's not helpful? What business practice or scam or grift? What is it that people are doing that customers don't like, but they kind of have to live with because it is a monopolistic trait, or confusopoly, you might say, or it's oligopolistic, meaning everyone is doing it and it can't be gotten away from. And you come along and say, no, we're going to do it different. It's riskier, but we'll stand out. And you can inspire people by doing it different, by taking a different stance than what everyone else is doing. It might be risky, but think about this. So in so many industries now, there is a misalignment between what it is customers want to buy and what it is vendors are selling. It's almost like the vast majority of customers, they want to buy one or two of the item, but businesses, for convenience, only want to sell it in packets of 10 or 20. This is a simplistic example, and yet this is what's happening in a lot of industries. The way customers want to buy is not alignment with what businesses are selling. But because all the businesses are selling it that way, customers have just kind of gotten used to it. You know, the Mary Sue trope is ubiquitous now, post-Tangled. That is just, okay, there's a female character. Okay, anything a man can do, she can do better. She's 100 pounds and she's throwing around 300-pound linebacker-sized assassins and trained marksmen, and she has a knife. Okay, now that makes sense. Whatever, right? It's just, it's become expected now, almost, that we see that Mary Sue trope in everything. We anticipate that would change. But here along comes somebody who says, no, the stories that you tell as a female author, writing a memoir or autobiography or a business book that includes examples from your life, vignettes, don't Mary Sue yourself. Tell the truth. Show us your quiet strength and your influence and your power. And know that you're not supposed to be a female version of a man. There is no hero's journey for women. The heroine's journey is different. It has long been said that women are, but men must become. That's true. In a video game, women start at level 100. In terms of their leveled up capability, women start at level 100, but men start at level 0. And so the woman must protect her virtue. The man must earn his. And at one point, the man will become worthy of the woman. And we get away from this, and we also name and shame this. We complain about this at our peril, I think. And there's not going to be a perfect story, but there can be an ideal. And just because we can't each live out the ideal doesn't mean that there is one. It means that in our situation where we're starting at and what we can aspire to, what we can achieve, what we can be inspired to achieve as well, you as a guy may never reach on level 100, but that's okay. What can you reach? What can you do? This is why the values of contentment, personal satisfaction, self-discipline are so valuable. It's why the sin of envy is so destructive. I should have what they have. Well, you didn't make the sacrifices that they did and risk what they did, so you didn't get it. It's only fair. I don't know if that's inspirational, but it certainly is aspirational. See you next time.